as far as my organization is concerned, I'm going back and forwards. Until I would say 7 or 8 years ago, I did everything on paper. I was one of the last people who had a giant filofax, like a really huge one. I then switched to digital tools and was actually doing very well with them. And by now, I have a different system where at least the lists are manual again. And the reason that is because my sketch system now is twofold. I have a very large sketchbook that stays in the studio, and I have a very small sketchbook that goes with me. And I find it easier to make my lists, to-do list stuff that goes on in the small sketchbook, then switch over to the phone or take the computer out. So right now the calendar is digital, and I use a weekly calendar on the phone, and the list making right now is personal, meaning it's manual again. And I tried out, for the larger, sort of like more permanent things, I use Evernote, and I had a couple of list making programs, but I actually think that the paper list is more satisfying because I can switch it off. And I also do, for very large projects, I do mind maps. So let's say we might work on a very large project first for a month or two, just into the blue sky. And then I make a very large mind map. I buy a special sheet of paper. I have a mind map program digitally, but I find it much more helpful to do it manually. And I put everything that I can possibly think about that project on this very large paper and tuck it on the wall and add as necessary. And I keep that fairly, meaning I try so that my handwriting is readable for the people, and I decorate it a little, because during the decoration time there is new ideas coming up. Whatever the time it takes me to fill out a box neatly with a colored pencil, there is something else coming up in there. It's almost like, meaning if I would put it in words, it's almost like a little mini meditation, the time that it takes me to fill out the box. So the mind map at the end looks kind of, but it's busy and it's a little crazy. Meaning the mind map that we did for the film was actually recently printed by a very large German newspaper as a double-page spread in the newspaper. So it was like printed this large, and it looks almost like you're dealing with an obsessed person because there's so much stuff on that. But I found it super helpful to get organized, and I actually at one time met the inventor of the mind map, Tony Buzan, and he wrote many books about it, and I think he even got wealthy from it. The interesting thing what sold me on trying it out is that he gave a talk at a large conference in Australia, and it was completely coherent and well put together. And when I talked to him afterwards, he said that he put the talk together that morning in his hotel room using a mind map in 10 minutes. And then he had the mind map in front of it to do the talk, and that was amazing, because most people who prepare themselves in 10 minutes suck. I've seen many talks that sucked by underprepared people, but his system clearly worked.